Hi. So this is part two of the interview for the interview assignment for Liberty University EDUC 521. So we left off at question 8 and how supportive my kids' elementary school has been for them, and that even though they are supportive and loving, that they don't change the expectations. And so when there's a behavioral issue, then they make it very clear that that's not it's not okay. It's not appropriate. Now there aren't horrible punishments, but they make it very clear that's not appropriate and it won't be tolerated. So it's very good that they do that, and they don't change the expectations on my kids just because of the grief that they may be dealing with, or because of their disability. So the expectations don't change. They just help my kids to adjust and to learn how to meet those expectations a different way. And so, as far as positive experience, for all three of my kids, they've been very, very blessed to have such a supportive group of teaching educators and staff to really support them and to be patient and to accommodate. So as far as negative experience, this is going to be where it's more geared towards Hayden. In fourth grade, Hayden was put into a class, specifically this class, because he has ADHD. And this teacher is known for structure and consistency. And for a child that has ADHD, these are really important. Structure and consistency is what kind of keeps that balance. Like it's something that they can always fall back on, that they don't have to remember, they don't have to assume or anything. They just know, like, that's the way it is. I can always fall back on this, that kind of thing. Once they learn what the schedule is and the structure, then it's a lot easier for them to know how to act and know how to respond and that kind of thing. It's easier to cope. So that is why the principal specifically put Hayden into this class. Unfortunately, it kind of backfired, and the teacher began the year off, by saying that she's noticing some things about Hayden, that maybe his medication isn't working, that kind of thing. So I'm a very hands-on mom as far as my kids and their diagnosis and how they are progressing at school, because I understand how difficult it is to achieve academic success, because nobody was there to accommodate me, and there wasn't a 504 plan, there wasn't an IEP system program, to help me. And so I am, I guess, overly protective of my kids, and so I'm very hands-on. I know exactly what's going on. I know if they're progressing. I know if they are falling behind. Because if you don't keep track of these things, then they can spiral out of control. And then you're trying to, regain your footing from something that, has really gotten out of control. So I was in constant contact with this teacher. And so we started out, I'm like, okay, we will adjust the medication. We'll do this. I'm going to listen to you because you're with him during the day. I want him to be successful. So we did that. Now, something that is very important for teachers to understand is that when a child is in the process of adjusting a medication or trying a new medication, going up a dosage, down a dosage, if it has anything to do with medication, you need to know that that is a very slow process. So just because they have their appointment this week and the medication changes, that everything's going to be great overnight. So sometimes that happens, and that's yay, that's a victory. But a lot of times it takes a long time, several months, in fact, to really figure out a medication, especially if it's a new medication, because they grow. And I mean, old medications, they build up a tolerance, but new medications, you have to find the right dosage and the right cocktail of medications and that kind of thing, because it's very unique to every person. I have, there's 4 ADHD people in my home, and all of us are on different medications and different dosages. Some of us very high, some of us lower, some of us a cocktail of different things. So it's just very important to understand that it's a slow process. Now, as far as the next step kind of in that process, we started that. We went to the psychiatrist. We told him that the teacher says this isn't working, and we adjusted. But it so happened that we were going on a new medication, which means that it takes months, really, to start figuring out. Unless you hit it right away, it's going to take some time. So as we're progressing through, the first part of the year, I'm getting feedback that this isn't working. That let's try and do a 504 plan. And so I'm like, okay, maybe, he's just gotten to the point where he needs that because he's been able to function without it. And maybe he's just gotten to the point where he needs it. So we implemented that. We had our meeting, and we went over, his strengths and weaknesses, and decided the plan of action that we were going to take, the accommodations that he was going to need